Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. I know it's a bit late in the day. Mondays are particularly difficult for me. I've got my little one around and it's just basically impossible to do anything, to be honest. So yeah, they're all glued to the telly for the minute, which is nice. Let's get stuck in. So the last video I made must be, I suppose, I don't know, one of the last few videos I made, I was talking about how the Dixie had a massive run up, huge run up, and I know people take offence of me talking about the Dixie all the time, but sometimes it's got to be done. And we saw ourselves rally all the way up because of the Fed saying that they were going to carry on doing what they were going to do, you know, interest rates, blah blah blah. You know the score. And so it had a bit of a massive stab up. So I said, look, it's pretty likely that we're going to have a pullback, and it might be one of the larger ones that the Dixie has. It's not going to be a breakdown of the chart or anything like that, but it's very likely to have a pullback at this level, because historically this is the pre-pandemic sort of the floor. It will likely break out of here and move up into towards the 100 kind of area roughly, and that's where I think that it will kind of peak. And so it was like an obvious place. It was also at the top of the Bollinger Band as well. There's a number of reasons why that has to come down in the short term, and as a result of that, traditional markets will have a bit of a pump coming into this week. So we're only Monday at the moment, so we've had a little bit of a light relief at the moment. The Nasdaq's up what's that? 2%, just over 2%, 2.25%. And so that's all well and good, and this is kind of what I expected to happen this week. Not necessarily Monday, but just generally this week. So we're approaching this area on the Nasdaq, and the reason we're talking about the Nasdaq is because the Nasdaq is essentially this Bitcoin. Basically, it's doing the same old thing. Bitcoin is the Nasdaq on steroids at the moment. But the two will decouple. But for the moment, all markets are generally, you could say that they're all bunched into one big giant consolidation, and they are. Everything is doing the same thing, right? And it's all generally to do with the idea of interest rates being changed subtly throughout the year. Potentially, the first one I think they're saying is around in March. Nothing has actually happened. That's the best thing to recognise here. Nothing has actually happened. This is what markets do. They price things in. They don't actually have to happen. It's a buy the rumour, sell the news. The chances are that when the rate hikes begin, the markets will be almost unaffected at that point, because it's all been priced in. It's generally how it works, and you know this from crypto. It's like when someone talks about a mainnet or a burning of something. There's price action leading up to the mainnet or the BNB burn, and almost the second that it happens, mainnet's released, dump. BNB burn, dump on the burn. And it's the same kind of thing here. Nothing has actually changed. It's just the expectation and anticipation for that, and markets overreacting, essentially pricing it all in. So as exactly as expected, just like any YouTuber needs to say, to try and push their success of calling it. It was such an obvious event that this week will have at least a little bit of upside, and the Dixie have a little bit of pullback. But the continuation of the greater trend shall continue until something else changes, right, on the charts. So, this has been the worst January for the Nasdaq in recorded history. So I say recorded history. All history is recorded. So in history, right? So it's been the worst January possible. So the chances of this being bought back just in general is quite high. But we are approaching this resistance here, which is basically 14,200. It was our major area of support. As we broke above it on this occasion, but this is our resistance, test of support, and a support again, and then broke down. So now we're looking for this as a resistance. If it breaks, then that's great. It may not break, and I'm not holding on for it to break. But what I am looking for is at least a few tests of it before it actually decides what it is that it wants to do. And we will look at Bitcoin in a minute. I'm just showing you how correlated these markets really are at this stage. And again, it's not just Bitcoin and Nasdaq. It's everything. It's all doing more or less the same thing. It's actually looking quite good in the 4 hourly. I have to say, it does look quite good in the 4 hourly there. Right. let's move over to the Bitcoin chart. So the Bitcoin, again, consistent, steady downtrend. More or less the 10 exponential is where we're getting rejected, apart from today, where we had this flip. And again, I'm not trying to say that this is amazing or anything like that. It's just this is what we expected. The dollar went straight up, needs to come back down, and just quickly showing you that dollar index. We've had an uptrend that we've been keeping an eye on for a long time, and it does do these moves up, down, up to the 50 exponential, up to the 50 and the 200, up, back down to the 50, up, straight through the 50, straight back up again. So I'm expecting price action to catch up with these moving averages. So there's your 50, there's your 10. So we'll be looking for these to kind of be to be tested before we break back out again and continue up. Because again, like I say, the fundamentals for the dollar haven't changed. They still stay the same. And I expect that the dollar will find its peak around these levels, probably between now and March, which is when the first interest rate hike will have kicked in. And again, it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event, right? We're leading up to that. The moment that happens and everyone goes, right, so basically the same, so nothing's changed. The majority of the price action has already taken place leading up to that event. I'm not going to say we're going to dump or anything. We're going to stabilize around here, similar to the way that we were stabilizing on this big run up all the way up here, and we came up to this major resistance and sort of tanked a bit. Again, this is prior to the pandemic, really. This is your pandemic move. So that's what I'm expecting, and again, it's going to take months for that. And again, we're talking March is where the first predicted rate hike is going to take place. And again, I expect that nothing will change with the dollar. It will incrementally move up until it gets to that point, and then we'll see where it goes. And I imagine that will be the first opportunity, really, to get particularly interested in buying certain things back, stocks, commodities, crypto, when everybody recognises that the majority of the price action has taken place and it's all been priced in way ahead. So looking at Bitcoin here, the 10 exponential has been reclaimed. Again, this is only very slightly. But one thing I was checking here on the 4 hourly, right, is a nice signal in the waiting. And again, this is 4 hourly, right? And people, I know everyone's super bearish still, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, because this whole price action here is still pretty much nondescript and still quite weak. You can see it. Even these bounces, they don't have an enormous amount of conviction. Dumps take place, and it's just generally, the weekend was the most boring weekend for price action ever. I mean, this is why I don't promote the use of margin trading most of the time, but especially when there's really no clear direction, and everybody's it's everyone's best guess. Where is it going to go? Is it going up or it's going down? Or it's all over the place. It's all over the place, and it's just weak. But if we were to claim this area of the cloud, we've got a portion over here which is nice, fat and green. All we're waiting for over here is our Chiku span to cross this price action, and this would generate a really nice signal. And it's nice to see that this would happen on Bitcoin as well, because we see this play out a lot of the time on altcoins. The smaller the cap, the less it happens, as in like micro cap coins with young charts don't often happen. But as this is Bitcoin, I'd put a fair bit of weight onto this signal playing out if we get it. And all we're waiting to see is this little skinny Chiku span close above the price action cloud, close above the cloud, and that is going to be wherever the price action closes. So we can stay here for the next, this particular price right now for the next, well, it's going to be 1 day, or we can close a 4 hourly candle. I suppose it's got to be above the cloud, so really we are looking for about 39,000 it has to close above. I'm not saying this is going to happen immediately. We're at the top of the Bollinger Band. The Bollinger Band is more or less flat. The price action is still pretty weak, and this is moving again as a result of the overall markets having that little bit of relief. Dollar down, everything up. Okay, it's breathing space. It's nothing special. But if this were to continue over the next, we'll say about 36 hours at this current price action or above, we would get that signal. And what this signal generally means is we will push all the way up to our next major level of resistance. So for Bitcoin, really, the next major level is this descending trend line, which only offers a 4% move at this current moment in time. It'll be less and less as it goes on, because it's a descending trend line. And if we go back and have a look at how dramatic it's been since we've tested it, it's pretty bad. So the first time we came up to test it, massive leg down, and a continuation as well. This is obviously to do with the virus coming out, and then we came up to test it, massive breakdown, and last time we touched it, another massive breakdown. So you could suggest, and quite obviously that the next time we touch it, we do have a significant breakdown from it, and I won't complain with that, because that is what has happened so far. It's a pretty aggressive breakdowns every time we touch that. I liken it to like an electric fence. It's like an electric fence. You touch it, you run a mile, right? You shoot off the other end, and that's what it's like. This is your electric fence resistance trend line. However, if we were to break through that, I mean, that would be pretty significant. Obviously, we've got our 40 to 41,000 area, but you know, one of those moves on the 4 hourly to expect something like a 4% move. I generally would expect something a little bit bigger than that. I'm not. It doesn't. That signal doesn't indicate a specific size move. It just says that a big stab up to whatever you would consider to be a safe, but significant resistance. And so for us, obviously, that is going to be the main one. And so our futures trade would probably be okay. Low leverage, obviously tight stop loss. Because the signal will be generated on a 4 hourly, you're going to waver around, but the chances of it going in your favour will be quite high. But unfortunately, it does only offer like a 4% at this moment in time. Over the next few days, it'll probably be about 3 or less. So not massive, which means that if it is a powerful move, it could smash right through this, and this would break the chart structure. If we broke out from below this, from being below this this descending trend line. If we broke out from there, it would change the chart structure. We would be out of what would be a considerable and obvious consolidation, and we could go into what would be an accumulation. And accumulations, as you know, it can be pretty choppy, and we could accumulate back in what I thought the accumulation zone would be, which is roughly 40,000, about 39,500 to about 49,500 thereabouts. So basically, this range is where we're likely to play out. If all of those things happen. So obviously we expect to get rejected from here and back down again. That's what we expect. But there is an implied hopium signal that might have enough power to drive us through there and back into this major accumulation zone. And that is your daily dose of hopium. And I wish you all the best. But I mean, it's not just hopium. I mean, this is what signals do. Remember, the signal's not been generated yet. We're looking at a potential one being formed. All right. So everybody who's looking at this again, oh, you'll just say anything. You'll say anything to try and get people happy, and it's so irresponsible, man. I'm like, look, my channel isn't it's not like that, right? It's basically about how I trade, the things I trade, what I look at, and why I do it. It's not. I don't shill crap. I don't try to get people to click this or buy into shit coins or whatever to try and pump my bags. Not that my modest 16,000 subscribers would even touch the sides, but none of that. Look, I even got my own token. I never mention it. I never mention the Jammer token until right now, because it's a shit coin and I wouldn't want you to buy it. And I wouldn't ever say that you should. My YouTube channel is essentially like a documentation of what I do and what I think and why I'm doing it, and I stick to my wins and stick to my losses. They are what they are, and they're all there for you to see. People who like to leave comments on there obviously have a perfect trading history and never ever make a mistake, But for me, it's all out there. Everything, it's all out there. And like I say, that 4 hourly signal, if it were to be generated, would likely have an extraordinary bit of power behind it, and it could pop us back into the accumulation range. And more than that, it's the breaking of that descending trend line, which is essentially a major problem for us at the moment. It's been such a devastating trend line to get close to. And like I say, we expect to get rejected from it because it's been so strong so far. But breaking through there would be a really big deal, change the chart structure and back into an accumulation zone. And then we would be looking to form that very same signal that we saw on the 4 hourly. We'd be looking to see that, like, I suppose, on a 12 hourly to begin with. We're nowhere close to that, and obviously then a daily. So tomorrow we're going to have a bit more time. I'm going to show you what I expect is going to happen with altcoins, and even though it's looking sad and sorry for itself right now, there's a lot of it's like history repeating itself. Things going on with altcoins right now and charts that are going to brew certain things over the next few months, throughout this year anyway, which will be like the epic signals that we started to jump on around December last year, in anticipation and preparation, more or less, for that huge alt season, buying the absolute lows. But in order to buy lows, things do have to come down, and they have to stay low. and we get some of the best signals that way, and then we get some of the best gains that way. And so I'm going to go through a load of these coins tomorrow, all in one video. I'm not saying that these coins are anything that you should be buying now. I'm just saying that in order for those epic entries and epic signals to be generated, we do need to go down and stay low for a little while, and that's what I want, and that's what you should want as well. And we should keep our eyes on the prize, because if you want to buy low for the 10, 20, 50, 100 X's, that's kind of what you need to see. You need to see charts going down, staying low, kind of being forgotten about, generate signals, pick them up. But at the moment, it's very unlikely any of that's going to form now. But over the next few months, those sort of things will form, and that's where we go to town. Right, so I'll leave it with you there, but thanks for watching, guys, and feel free to troll me. But that's like I say, I'll respond if I have the time. I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.